Hey, dude, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been like
since I
3-4
found you.
weeks since we did a podcast.
Cross my belt of face. It's been a while.
Wait, who is that? Is that Nickelback or Creed? Or
No.
Stained?
I'm doing it's stained, but I'm doing my Creed voice with the arms wide open.
Okay, so I've got a very fast story about that. This story has been told a couple times, but
sorry.
When I was still at Join Dota, it was me, Blitz, and Jacob. We were standing in line at an airport, and for whatever reason, Creed comes up, and both Blitz and I start singing like one of the songs.
My sacrifice.
My sacrifice. Yeah, and Jacob turns around. He's like, "Oh, dude, I love Creed." We're like, yeah, like Creed. I mean, Creed was a legitimately good band.
Yeah,
they were when it comes to like bands to hate, they were like a higher tier than Nickelback when it comes to just like, oh yeah, like like if people wanted to flame kind of like rock bands that were too mainstream.
Nickelback got really memey, but Creed,
exactly.
Creed was like hipster make fun of rock.
Yeah, but Creed was a legit band. They put out some great songs, and we're kind of memeing about Creed, and we're kind of laughing at it, but we also are singing at the same time. It's that weird thing where you can't really stop yourself from loving it, and it comes up that we make some mention about their Christian lyrics. I know what it was. I referenced the Rolling Stones magazine where they were on the cover as the #1 Christian rock band in the world. It was the #1 rock band in the world is Christian, whatever. And there it is. It's right there. Creed, love us or hate us. That's kind of a douchey thing to say. Anyway, that's Creed.
It's the same idea as Carson Daly's last night. It's fine. No one listening to the podcast can see the cover, but Jesus Christ, this Rolling Stones cover is so pure 90s because Scott Strapp has like a chain link cross tattoo on his bicep, and everyone has like some crazy 90s either spiky hair.
He's wearing leather pants.
I mean,
oh God. And you got the sickest little the goatee, just the stripe. What is it? The Van Dyke? Is that what that's called? I don't remember, but it's just the stripe all the way down to the chin. But that's just pure 90s right there. So we're talking about Christian rock band, and Jacob, who self-confessed loves Creed, goes, I didn't know they were Christian. And Blitz and I both look at each other and we're like, what? What do you mean you don't know they're Christian? You like Creed, right? Like,
do you know
what did you think have you ever paid attention to the lyrics ever? My sacrifice, can you take me higher?
Yeah,
to a place where blind men see. Well, what does he think that metaphor is about? Where blind men see?
They're taking an elevator to the top floor to the optometrist. That's what the song's about.
And so we just nonstop made fun of Jacob that entire flight for the fact that somehow through all the Creed listening he went through, it never occurred to him that all of this was about Jesus. It's so in your face. If you go back and listen to him, every single song is so clearly about Jesus.
I'm constantly impressed by the amount of people who listen to music but don't actually know the words to songs or never really think about the words to songs. Mm-hmm. I thought that that's just a normal thing that everyone does, and I'm like a chronic car karaoke person. I never stop singing in the car, especially when I'm by myself. There's some songs that I can't put on with other people in the car because it'll just be either really embarrassing or they'll be scared for their safety. Anytime Misery Business comes on the radio, it's really bad for me personally. Things get really crazy. But consistently over and over again, people are like, oh, I had no idea that song was about that. Or oh, those are the words? Wait, what do you do when you listen to music? Do you not process what they're saying? Or are you just yeah, man, cool guitar lick, or I like those drums?
I think it's part of it because we're both we both need to sing along with the song. So in order to do so, we kind of need to know the lyrics. Mm-hmm. Those people probably just don't sing along to songs.
Yeah, if I could take all of the song lyrics I have out of my brain and replace it with useful information. Like, I don't know, even something like tangentially useful, like the tax code or the prime numbers or literally anything but song lyrics. I can be some kind of a savant. Like I can go teach like a college course on something. The amount of dumb music I have in my head is so upsetting to me.
I was talking to Suns fan about this. I just wish I could erase all old Dota knowledge that I have. Just kind of like hit the hard reset button because there's so many old mechanics that are still stuck in my brain that it gets in the way of like learning new stuff.
And you don't need to know like what patch 6.87 was.
No.
You can't just be like, sniper. Like, it doesn't serve you anything today aside from some.
Yeah, okay. There's an example. I know that Sniper's headshot was a magical damage bash that did physical damage or something like that. Or, Sniper's bash, his headshot proc did magic damage while Void's bash was physical damage. Something like that. Now it's just both of them are magic.
You can fill like a whole museum and encyclopedia with dumb Dota history.
Yeah.
And no one would go to it because only the people who out of all the people who care about Dota, the percentage of people who care about that fun fact has to be, I don't know, 1% maybe, if that.
Nobody.
And that so many of us are walking around with dumb shit like that, whether it be like, I have like vivid memories of like what the old Storm Spirit used to look like.
Yeah. I was looking at the old Slark recently, and he had the funniest walk animation when he had a haste rune because the model was clearly not based for him to move that fast.
It's like really wiggly.
Yeah.
Man, what?
So we haven't done a show.
Oh,
for like 3 weeks.
Should we acknowledge that? Okay, hey, hold on. It hasn't been. We haven't recorded in 3 weeks, but we definitely didn't do published episodes for 2 weeks because there was nothing to do. You were
that was on me. Yeah.
No, you don't have to really fall all the way on that sword. I was also
a little bit of it.
I was on a vacation for 2 weeks.
That's true.
So we couldn't do one here, and you were like working a lot, doing like Dota stuff.
I had 2 opportunities to be able to get a podcast going, and I did not push it hard enough. And then you were gone when I came back. So
yeah, we could have fixed it, but it's fine. I feel like we showed that we can be consistent, and then we also showed that if you don't give us enough love, we can take it right back away from you.
Oh, thank you to everybody who I actually was streaming the last couple of days. A lot of people came in and said, "Hey, I love the podcast." There was even one guy who came in and said he listened to the last one, the Q&A session, twice. And was waiting for the next one to come out. So a lot of people asked me about it. So I'm very thank you to all of you guys.
Thank you and sorry, and we're here now. But we got the best part about being gone for a little bit is that we can really just like take the coffers of stories that we have and just fill them right back up because there's been 2 full events. I guess it's 2 events, but it feels like it's one now. The way that the majors and minors work, it's just like one big massive Dota poop on a month.
So, do you want to start with how was Europe? I kind of want to start with you first because I feel like we always start with me, and the show's about my trips and stuff.
It's true. So you've been to Europe a lot. You've lived in Germany for a while. I mostly have never been outside North America. I went to China once. That was fun. But yeah, that's kind of it.
But I mean, let me just say, before I went to Germany, I had never been outside of the North America. Okay. Been to Canada. That was it. That's literally it. So
yeah, like I've been to Tijuana and wherever you go on a Mexican cruise sometimes, and like Vancouver and Toronto. I've been to most 50 states, but like outside of that, the Europe thing's kind of eluded me. So my full-time job is no longer a full-time job, which is great. Because I had free time. That's how I spun that one into a positive. really turned it around and went, hey guys, this is a good thing now. because when you don't work anymore, the popular advice is to take an expensive multi-week vacation overseas, because money is just like a facet of our imagination and like a government construct, right? Like we're all gonna die anyway, just have fun. So I had a 2-week-ish trip to Europe to go see a bunch of like Dota friends and internet friends, and basically just go couch surf and see how cheaply I could experience all these different countries. Okay. So my home base was in London.
That very cheap city.
Super cheap city. I thought that because the whole Brexit thing was going on, that their currency was weaker, and it is. Okay. But not enough to like a pound is like $1.35.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
It's very expensive. Yes. It's incredibly expensive. And it's like even expensive for water and stuff. But I liked London. Had a great time in London.
Love London.
I think normally when I visit other cities, like when I go to San Francisco or when I go to New York, I think, man, I hate this city and I don't think I can ever live here. But I think I could live in London. I like that their public transit really works.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
And it's super prevalent. Everyone takes it. I think I'd miss car culture a little bit. I was so happy to get back home and be like, I'm going to drive to Target. I'd also miss Target because those are things that just don't exist over in Europe.
There's a certain sense of independence that you can't get with public transportation, right? It's like, you can go anywhere and
it's cheap.
But it's just going to take a long time sometimes, right?
Sometimes indirect.
Yeah, it's like a car. Like I can literally just going to the grocery store is so easy.
Yeah, whenever you want.
Yeah,
you don't have to carry bags on the subway. You can carry big things.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the train times or like use an app to map out your journey or.
Oh God, the number of times where I was carrying far too much back to my apartment in Berlin. I did not.
Overall, I think I can live in London, which is the first city that I think that I actually think that about. As soon as I landed in London, I had this whole trip planned out. I was going to go to 7 different countries. I had all my flights pre-booked, which is obviously what you're supposed to do. I had an Excel sheet with all the flight numbers and all the dates and how much everything was costing. I was super organized about this trip. And on this trip, I was going to go visit my buddy in Barcelona. From school, because his family's from there. He was back there for the holidays and whatnot, and everything was all planned out. I was going to go see him at the end. As soon as I landed in London, I got a message from him. He's like, "Hey, dude, something came up. I have to go back to America." He's like, he works on the East Coast. He works at Harvard because he's fucking smart and fucking idiot. He's like, "Oh, I got to go back because school, whatever. Do you want to come earlier in your trip?" And I'm like, "Hold on, wait a second. I have 10 airplanes planned. I can't just rearrange this whole thing." And then I did. Because
you did.
I did.
Really?
Dude, have you ever missed a bunch of flights?
I've only missed 3 flights. Ever.
I knew I was going to be missing a lot of airfare because I took this Barcelona leg of my trip that was going to be at the end and just immediately moved to the front and shift everything backwards.
Okay.
It didn't fuck up too much of my travel, but that meant that I ended up missing 5 airplanes, which one cost a decent amount of money. It was $300 that I just put into a fire.
This is a really good friend that you have, apparently. You were willing to do this.
I wanted to go to Barcelona when he was there.
Okay.
My Spanish, despite being in Southern California, isn't that great.
Okay.
So I didn't want to go there and test it by myself. He offered to pay for absolutely everything while I was there.
Okay.
As to make up for the fact that I was losing money on the flights, which he did, and we ended up eating in a Michelin star restaurant, and I definitely came out on the positive.
He's a Harvard grad; he can afford it. I'm sure.
He's gonna be teaching at Harvard. He didn't graduate from Harvard. It's
okay.
It's whatever. Seriously, fuck him. But he's an asshole because he made me rearrange my entire trip.
Yes.
So I tried contacting all these airlines to be like, hey, I know that I don't have a refundable ticket. My ticket is not refundable. That's fine. I'm not asking you for money. I'm not complaining. But I want to tell you that I am not going to be on this flight. So you can like put someone on standby on or like do whatever. And they're like, oh, there's like no protocol for that. Just don't show up. Oh, and if you want to have your £3 back for this whatever tax for not being on the flight, you can fill out this 10-page form. And I'm like, okay, this isn't worth $6. Also, I'm sorry that I was like trying to be nice, I guess, or just like, hey, by the way, I booked this flight. You have my money. I'm not going to be on it. They're like, yeah, just like ghost us. I didn't know if that's proper protocol for missing airline travel is to just not show up.
I mean, unless you're trying to get your money back, then just don't show up.
Yeah, that was wild to me.
Yeah.
Man, European airports so much better than American airports, from my experience, with the exception of London Heathrow. That airport.
Yeah, I was about to say you flew into to Heathrow,
dude.
Literally one of the worst airports. Also, did you go to Paris at all?
I did not go to Paris.
Okay, well you didn't end up in the other terrible airport, which is Charles de Gaulle. So those are instantly the two that come out to mind whenever people talk about European airports.
Have you ever flown into Dulles in DC? That's
no.
The worst airport ever.
No.
I hope no one ever has to do that. Newark's also pretty bad. London Heathrow had like really.
Newark was pretty bad. I had to actually go through Newark recently.
The European customs control is so much quicker than flying back into LAX.
Yeah.
It's incredibly quicker. Like the passports work. It's so much nicer. It's like way more tech advanced. So when I actually got to Europe, I flew into Heathrow. That was like my plan, right? But everyone notices, oh hey, the screen on the seat says like, oh hey, it's our landing time, and we miss it, and we're still up in the air, but we're like above London, and we're like, oh, I wonder what's going on. People are starting to get antsy, like, why aren't we landing yet? Eventually the captain comes on the plane. He's like, hey everybody, some of you probably noticed that we haven't landed the plane yet. I'm like, okay, no shit, we're like in the air, whatever. Cool dude. And he's like, I want you to all know that we do have a limited amount of fuel and we are running out. And surely I think this is funny. Because I'm like, wow, you must be like a doctor with dog shit bedside manner, because people don't like flying, and this is like, I'm looking around and I'm watching people's stress levels rise and their eyes widen and their pupils dilate. They're like, we're running out of fuel? What's going on? He used the wrong words. Definitely
obviously
used the wrong words. Hey, so we do have a limited amount of fuel running out. You might have noticed we haven't landed yet because, we got word from Heathrow that there is a security alert going on right now. Apparently there's some security problem at the airport and no planes can land. So now, not only does everyone like, oh no, we're running out of fuel, everyone's like, is there like a terrorist at the airport?
Are we going to die in the air? Are we going to die when we get on the ground?
Yeah, people, like, I've never seen more people start to get panicky on an airplane. It was gnarly. So he's like, okay, so because we do have a limited amount of fuel, okay, yeah, you said that, dude. We're gonna circle for like 10 more minutes, and if we can't land, we're gonna divert to London Gatwick. London has like 4 or 5 airports.
Really?
I learned. Yeah, there's Heathrow and Stansted and Luton and Gatwick and London City. I visited like 3 of them. It was crazy. He's like, we'll just land at one of the other London airports. That's like only, I don't know, maybe 30 miles away from Heathrow because whatever, London's small. And we end up having to go land there because there's a security alert. We can't get off the plane. We have to refuel. And then we're sitting on in a gate at the not destination London airport. We're at Gatwick instead of Heathrow for 2 hours. Oof. Which is fine. I get it. The plane's got to refuel. They got to probably like do paperwork. But the thing is, the way that the London transportation works, a lot of people just wanted to get off the plane because they're like, hey, we can still get home. We just have to like take a different train. Like, we're here. And everyone's like, no, you got to stay on the plane. You got to stay on the plane. It's fine. Whatever. Eventually, they flew us back from Gatwick to Heathrow, which is the silliest airplane ride on like an Airbus Max that I've ever taken, because it is a 30-mile distance, but when you're flying an airplane, you can't just like swoop up and then swoop right back down.
Yeah, let's just kind of like just lightly go over the skyscrapers and then go back down, right? You have to actually go up in the air.
Yeah, you have to go all the way to like 20,000 feet cruising altitude. So we had to go more vertical than we had to horizontal to get to the airport, circle around a couple times and eventually land. It was like a 10-minute flight to get from airport to airport in a giant plane, which was just silly. Everyone was not very happy about that. And I'm just like, oh, it's dark now. I can't explore the city. Normally I don't have a lot of airplane problems. Normally my airplane is fine. I guess like I used up all my good karma. And then
I've had honestly just a lot of pretty normal experiences. Moxie apparently has had some terrible ones. Oof. Moxie apparently thought she was going to die on one of her recent flights, and she keeps on missing her luggage too. I think it's happened twice now in events that I've been to, and it's only happened to me once, maybe twice ever, but I've taken a lot of flights, obviously.
I guess traveling for work, you kind of got to get a checked bag, for suits and other nice stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I never travel with a checked bag.
You know what? You say that. You say that, well, because you have to work, you need a checked bag. You know who doesn't almost ever use a checked bag? OD Pixel. It blows my mind, but he just has his backpack. He just shoves his suits in there. It drives me crazy every single time I see it.
Pressed or something? At least you should have like a above the seat carry-on bag, right, where he can like fold his suits.
Oh, I mean, if he's traveling with sheaves, then usually sheaves, like this last trip we took, they did both have a bag. But part of that was because we went to WePlay and there was snowboarding there, and then Dream League was also a longer event and stuff. So, but like a lot of times I just see him like we go to the Philippines for like four-day event or something, and he just has his backpack.
I'm pretty good with like a backpack and a duffel bag.
I can't do that.
If I don't need fancy clothes.
Dude, I carry a backpack with me. When we went snowboarding, I carried a backpack with me. I went hiking to Griffith Park. You know how far away that is from me? 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. 10 minutes to be able to get to Griffith Park. I brought a backpack to that too. I need to be prepared for things. I need to have my stuff in case there's...
What's like your everyday carrying your backpack? Because I carry around with me some pretty stupid shit that my friends make fun of me for, but I feel like it's useful.
Well, I don't really carry a whole lot with me, but like whenever I go to BTS, for example, like I will bring my backpack. In it will have charger, like battery, charging cables, Kindle if I need it, maybe my Switch.
Got to do some emergency reading.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much it's like sometimes casting is just there's a lot of downtime, right? So sometimes it's like, well, might as well just read something,
I carry a lot of like stuff that is almost always dumb until you need it and it becomes useful. Okay, like I keep like a small extension cord power strip on my backpack, which comes in so clutch when you're like at the airport and you can be like that cool dude who's like, hey, there's only one plug. Don't worry. Now there's 10 plugs. Everyone loves you when you're the dude with the power splitter.
That is pretty good.
Like I carry an HDMI cord.
I'm kind of like that because I pull out like 3 different batteries that I have with me. Like nobody has charge. Like, oh, here you go.
Yeah, I think an HDMI cord's a good one to carry. I have like some different USB-C adapters or like audio equipment adapters, power chargers for laptops and cell phones. You got to get. I carry an Apple cord, like an Apple Lightning cord with me, for when people are like, "Oh, do you have a cord?" And I'm like, "I don't have an iPhone, but I still have a cord to help you," because I just want to be relentlessly helpful.
That is clutch right there.
You can get ones now, like Anchor makes a really good cord that is USB-A to USB micro. And then the micro on the cord is 2 adapters where you can turn the micro into a C or a Lightning. Yeah. So it's like a 3-in-1. Big props for the everyday carry. And then there's like Advil or indigestion medicine or allergy pills. There's an EpiPen I carry in case I eat peanuts. or in case someone else gets some kind of an allergic reaction. Baby wipes, because you never know when you have to like poop in public.
Sure. I bring baby wipes. Yeah.
I have like a graphing calculator in there, which almost never gets any use.
My God.
I should really take that out.
Holy shit, dude! You're mega prepared.
Yeah, I have like a presentation clicker, which is just a carryover from school, to be honest. But if anyone ever needed a laser pointer or to do a PowerPoint,
if you're ever in a meeting,
I got you covered. Gauze, cough drops, knife and fork, straws, zip ties, tape.
Wow. I'm impressed. Yeah, you carry that much stuff.
My trunk is also kind of a clusterfuck. I like keep a change of clothes and like a sleeping bag and stuff in there too.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's all good stuff there.
I can grab my backpack and get in my car and probably be okay for like a week if I'm okay being smelly.
Yeah.
So
that's all good stuff. I was thinking recently, I'm a little bit that way as well. I have a med kit in there. I have like car tools and all that sort of thing. And I realized recently, I was like, you know what? Why don't you just carry some MREs in your car? Right? Because it's like, I'm not going on like long trips or anything, so the extra food isn't needed there. But at the same time, it's like, well, if something happens, say we live in California, like an earthquake, I will still be able to get to my car.
Yeah.
So I can hole up in my apartment and have MREs and stuff. Yeah. I got to get some of those.
I have like a half-eaten box of Triscuits in my trunk, which I should finish eating or they'll definitely go stale soon. They're probably already stale.
They're already stale.
Even just something like carrying a screwdriver.
Yeah.
Like, so useful.
So useful.
Anywho, big fan of multi-tools. Also, I promise I'm not a hoarder. I had to like purge my backpack for a bunch of shit before I go, because I like do have like, oh, here's a box cutter. Stuff that security is going to take away. I made it through like 10 airports, and only one of them took away the multi-tool in my wallet. It was Edinburgh. Wow. Fuck you, Edinburgh.
GG Edinburgh.
Other airports, like when I was in Amsterdam, they like took it out of my wallet because they're like, "Oh, do you have like a tool in there?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, this is fine. There's no like blade on here. Like this is totally like this is fun."
Sure.
But the lady at Edinburgh Airport was like, "This is a weapon." That's what she told me, and I'm like, "It's a bottle opener and a hex key and maybe a bad screwdriver and like a letter opener. Like how can I hurt anyone with this?"
Aren't bottle openers pretty sharp usually?
No.
It was one of the.
It's like one of the. Boop.
Gotcha. I was thinking of the corkscrew. That's what I was. I was thinking of the corkscrew wine opener.
A wine opener probably not good for an airport. You probably could stab someone with that, but I couldn't stab anyone with what I had going on. Man, when I went to Barcelona, everyone was apologizing to me because they're like, the weather's normally not like this. It's like cold and windy. They're like, I'm so sorry you're here. It's like, oh no. And I'm like, it's fine. It's totally fine. I went to a Barca game, and I've never seen a football game or football game. I said the right one first the first time. I've never seen a football game in my life. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm probably not going to appreciate this. And I'm like surrounded by a bunch of like old people speaking like Spanish and Catalonian. And I'm just like, yay. I'm just like trying to follow along and understand what I could and ask soccer questions.
Were there any chants or anything?
There's like one section that got really rowdy, and I just like, go Messi, yeah, woo. There are people who are like, wow, you got to see Messi play. Like, I'm so jealous. And I'm like, I appreciate the experience, and I understood some of it. But like,
could you even tell which one Messi was?
Yeah, they all wore numbers. Okay. He was the one that they always gave the ball to. Fair. When I was leaving Barcelona to get back to London, I had more bad flight problems. It's just like a litany of bad flight problems. I got to the airport.
Yeah.
It's like rainy and super windy. On the way to the airport, we watch a tree fall down and hit a car.
Oh dear.
So I may have potentially watched someone die.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Apparently like a bunch of trees fell down in the city. Like traffic was horrible. I thought I was going to miss my flight because we're like now in a traffic jam trying to get to the airport.
Right.
Didn't miss the flight because the flight was super delayed because the sky bridge to the airplane was so windy that it was shaking so much that it was crashing into the airplane. and deemed unsafe to walk on for people and the plane. So we had to wait like about almost 2 hours for them to come up with a solution for us to get on the plane because they like this one only had like rear steps or something.
Okay.
They had to pull it away from the gate and they had to get us all the way down to the tarmac, take a bus, drive to the other side of the terminal, get out and board the plane through the stairs. It's fine. When the delays, whatever, shit happens. We get on the plane and it's so windy that the plane, it feels like I'm on some kind of like a bad roller coaster simulator. I can see it going left and right and left and right. I can feel it. And I'm like, okay, this kind of sucks. I'm not a big fan of this. Then I see a strike of lightning in the distance.
Oh, geez.
Like, hold on, wait, are you not supposed to take off when there's lightning going on?
Yeah, I feel like there's some serious problems. They should not be flying planes at that point.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what aviation rules are. I'm like trying to look up on my phone, like flying through lightning just for my own sanity, but then I can't look anything up because I'm too far away from the airport Wi-Fi, and I brought a phone that AT&T wouldn't unlock for me in Europe, so I bought a SIMS card that I couldn't use, and then it was had no internet, whatever. I'm just sitting on the plane like trying not to panic. I'm trying to think about like, if I die, what do I like? Man, that would be so inconvenient because, like, one, people would be sad. Like, okay, whatever.
I would have to find somebody else to do the podcast with.
You would.
That would really inconvenience me.
It would incredibly inconvenience you.
Yeah. Let me just say, I would not be happy with you dying.
I know. There'd be, like, things someone else would have to do. My mom might be sad. Whatever. My biggest concern that I realized, though, is that no one knows like my master password to my password manager. So like if I died, no one could get into any of my accounts to do anything they needed to do.
Okay.
Whether it be like my friends with like our Twitch stuff or like my bank or whatever. I don't know how people normally deal with dead people stuff, but I feel like having access to accounts would just make it so much easier. So I'm like, maybe if I like write a draft email to someone with the password and then I like put on a timer so that I can like send eventually, and then like maybe it'll okay. And then I'm like, wait a second, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you preparing your own death will?
Yeah, dude, it's not your problem anymore. Just let everybody else figure it out.
Yeah, why am I trying to make it convenient for everyone else? In the process of everyone boarding that plane that was shaking with lightning going on outside, one person on the plane threw up just from the motion, either the nerves of what was happening or the motion of rocking back and forth violently on the plane. The flight, we eventually take off. Eventually get above the clouds. The turbulence stops for a minute, but then it gets bad again, bad, and it's pretty turbulent most of the time.
So you get a moment of this moment of relief, and then
a small bit of reprieve. It's a 90-minute flight to go from Barcelona to London, and on that 90-minute flight, 3 more people vomited.
Oh.
The person across from me to the left, directly 2 seats in front of me, and then someone behind me who I didn't care to turn around and find out. So this plane is not only some kind of like odd roller coaster bumpy experiment, it's just a vomit machine. At this, like, if one person pukes on a plane, you can kind of do like a little bit of air freshener. I learned they keep some in the airplane for situations like this. You can kind of like put some Febreze in the plane, and it's like, okay, like whatever, this is uncomfortable. When 4 people vomit in a plane, there's no saving. There's no saving the smell.
Gross.
So,
gross.
I made it back to London. I was at Gatwick for the second time. I was alive. It was fine. I had to immediately like go take a bunch of fucking subways before they ended because it was the middle of a work week and now it's like 1 a.m.
Right.
to get to my friend's house because we had to take off again the next day on a plane to go to Norway. I burned so much jet fuel that I'm like a bad human. I can't claim to be like pro green, pro environment with the amount of jet fuel that I burned over the last couple of weeks. It was disgusting. I went to Norway. I saw the Northern Lights. That was cool.
Nice. I saw that picture.
It's like the highlight of the trip, yeah.
That sounds like... Dude, I can't believe... Oh, that sounds so stressful, though. Let me tell you, so we're planning out vacation right now. Sounds like we might be going to Spain. So last year we did a trip right after Birmingham to London. That was really good because you take a train over and super easy, and we just hung out and, we saw Phantom of the Opera and went out every night. Great stuff. Very chill. And that was still a little bit stressful. Like, I still didn't like the part of just like traveling and not just being able to go straight home. So the concept of you flying to multiple countries, flying like back over to London and then flying the next morning to Norway, like, oh, that sounds terrible. Dude, that is way too much for me. That is way too stressful. That is not relaxing at all. That's not vacation to me.
Vacation to me normally is like do and see as much stuff as possible.
Yeah.
So it's like get to London, get to Spain, see a football game, hike a mile up a mountain that I did a hike that I was not conditioned for, and it was fucking bad. I almost died. I probably would have died on the mountain before I died on the plane, really. Go back from Barcelona to London, and then to Norway, and then to Copenhagen, and then to Amsterdam, and then back to London, and then to Edinburgh, and then back from Edinburgh, and it was a lot. But it never felt.
Did you have a good time?
Bad.
Did you enjoy yourself?
I did. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It never felt too bad. The best. I couldn't recommend more going up to Tromsø in Norway if you're trying to see the Northern Lights. We rented a car. And I drove it all through a blizzard and a snowstorm, which was scary because the car wasn't like a truck or had chains. It was just a Volvo. I don't have a lot of practice.
Why is your version of vacations like you're doing the most stressful shit possible?
Man, I should show you really a video of what we were driving in. It's so I thought that when we were renting a car, like all the cars up there, because they're just like one lane highways in the snow all the time, because it's in the Arctic Circle. It's like up as northy Norway as you can get almost.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, well, the cars will be prepared for this, right?
Apparently not.
Yeah, and I would like have to not know how to drive in the snow. I've driven in the snow, but never like this. I'm trying to photos.google.com, not pictures.google.com. I figured it out. It's really gross to actually drive in a blizzard, because the first time that you start fishtailing, if you haven't like had that experience before, you panic a little bit, and I think the instincts of what your brain wants to do is not what you actually need to do when you're losing that much traction, because the answer is like counter turn and stay straight, and don't heavily brake. So everyone seemed to be dealing with it very well. I think I don't know if everyone else was equally as concerned as I was.
I've driven through a lot of snow, especially when I was younger, because like I got my driver's license.
It was like you're like driving through.
Oh yeah.
Like fucking whiteout. I couldn't see.
Yeah, you've got the whole. I
couldn't see more than like 10 feet in front of the car. It's disgusting.
Yep. That's the. I always described it as the hyperspace experience. You know, where it's just like the white dots are just flowing past you like you're going through hyperspace in Star Wars. And that's all you can really see.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
In a car that you don't like know that well.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I just started driving this. I barely know where the parking brake is. I don't know what the roads are. All the road signs, by the way, those aren't like universal worldwide road signs. They're completely different. Also, driving in kilometers versus miles is very different, because I'm just trying to drive the normal speed limit that I'd be used to here, like on the freeway, like the right feel of a speed. But that is way too fast for whatever their road signs are, because like 65 miles per hour is way faster than 80 kilometers. Dude, I learned a lot about driving in the snow. We drove all the way up to Finland, which was fun.
Oh, okay.
There's like no border security up there.
Yeah, they're like, fucking man, if you're going this far north, like, you're not a threat.
Yeah.
You're not trying to disrupt society in some way, that's for sure, because you're so the fuck out of society in general.
It must be so easy to just smuggle stuff between those countries up there, because it's just it's way too easy. You just drive on through, and then suddenly there's signs like, "Welcome to Finland. You're in the EU now."
And they see something white. It's definitely not cocaine. It's more snow.
Man, Norway's expensive too.
Oh, yeah.
Norway's very expensive.
I mean, I haven't been in Norway, but I've heard it's quite expensive.
Dude, a hot tip, if you should, one day, just Tromsø, Norway, Northern Lights. Would recommend.
Maybe.
No, it's cool.
Dude, I'm one of those people I don't like. There's no driving me to go see something. Like, Google Images is there for me if I need to see something. Like, if I need to see the Northern Lights, there are fantastic pictures. They're
way better on the internet.
Careers.
That's the same
sense. Built around that.
That's the same sense of like, why would you go see like a concert if you can listen to the music on Spotify?
Exactly, I'm with that.
Why would you go see a Lakers game if you can just?
I don't see sports shows. Nope.
Okay, I'll
keep on giving me examples, Joey. I'll keep on agreeing with them.
I'll just keep on trying to find something. Man,
why would you go see? Let me give you another one. Why would you go see a Dota tournament in person? You think I'm ever going to a Dota tournament? If I'm not working it, I'm not going. Like, you think if I didn't get invited to the last TI in China? Nope, not going to TI.
Yeah, that one's really aggressive. Well, when I was in Denmark, one more story. Mm-hmm. One more short story. When I was in Denmark, I was in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
I decided, it was like later at night. It's like 10 p.m. I didn't really have anything to do. It was a Monday. There weren't really a lot of like bars or anything open. I'm like, there was a movie theater close by, and I never go see movies by myself because I often just never see movies, period. Mm-hmm. But for months now, everyone has been like grabbing me by my shoulders and shaking me and been like, Joey, you have to see Parasite.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
From like people who I really respect and people who normally don't bug me about this stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like I'll eventually watch it. And this felt like an opportunity to do that. I had time to kill, whatever. Have you seen the movie?
I have, yes.
So you're aware that the movie is not in English. It's in Korean.
Correct.
Which I feel like not everyone might not know that. This is for the audience. I'm giving an explanation.
See the where film, this is going.
The film Parasite's in Korean. And I was in Copenhagen, and their language, well, almost everyone there speaks English. It's they speak Danish.
Yeah.
I get in the theater. I'm gonna get a ticket, and I ask. I'm like, hey, are the subtitles in English or Danish? And the dude is like, oh man, they're in English. Like, there's a lot of tourists here. Like, everyone here speaks English anyways. Like, I don't even know if they've made Danish subtitles for the movie, honestly, because it would be like a really small market. I'm like, okay, great. I'll take one ticket. I'll get a popcorn. I'll go in the movie theater. I'll kick my shoes off. There's almost no one in there. This is going to be great. I sit down. The movie's about to start. I get so many notifications on my phone that Kobe died. Kobe Bryant.
Oh, okay.
This is extremely tragic for me as someone who grew up in Los Angeles and loves basketball and watched a bunch of Kobe games. This is like a whole thing. So now I'm sitting crying in a movie theater while there's like previews playing. And I'm trying to not look like a crazy person for all the strangers around me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how am I going to focus on this movie? This is insane. Like, I can't believe this is happening right now. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch the movie. It'll be a good distraction. I can deal with this later. Like, this really sucks. I'm really bummed out by this. Whatever. Movie comes on. They start speaking in Korean. Subtitles. Not in English.
Oh no.
I'm now in a movie theater that is displaying the film in 2 languages, 0 of which I understand. And I realize other people are now having this problem too, because out of the theater that had maybe 20 people in it, 4 or 5 of them within 5 minutes got up and left. Because they're like, well, fuck, we don't know what's going on. But I forced myself, because I paid for the ticket, to just sit there and watch the movie.
Why?
Which I could have done with earplugs because I didn't. I couldn't.
Why would you do that?
Well, I opened up the plot synopsis on Wikipedia. So I was like following along. It's pretty visual. I got most of what's going on. Some of the humor probably fell flat.
Yeah, you did. There were some genuinely funny moments in that.
Yeah, the non-physical humor fell flat.
Yeah, I bet.
I do not know a single word of that movie outside of the numbers that they were saying, because those subtitles, the Danish numbers are very similar to the English ones, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I saw Parasite. That was...
Why didn't you just get a refund? Why? The guy told you it was going to be in English. Why didn't you just go get a refund, Joey?
After the movie, I was going to go...
He promised you it was in English.
After the movie, I was going to be like, hey, by the way, just so you know, films, and like, no one's in the movie theater at all. I'm like, well...
Also, even if there was somebody there, that guy's going to be like, wait, I'm sorry. You just sat through a movie that's spoken in Korean with subtitles in Danish, and you didn't understand a word of it. And you sat through the entire... It's a long movie, too. Isn't it like 2.5 hours?
2 hours.
You sat there for over 2 hours. That guy would probably just give you the refund out of the pity of just like...
Yeah, it's 2 hours and 12
2 hours and 12 minutes. Add in some previews in there. You got 2.5 hours.
Man, yeah.
Was there an intermission?
No.
Okay, that was a thing in Germany. Sometimes they would have intermission. Threw me for a loop.
People really have to pee sometimes. They're like, okay,
so.
group pee time.
Not a fan of that.
So, yeah, a lot of things really didn't go right, aside from, all the money that I lost on travel or all the airplane problems or like watching a movie that I really couldn't watch. But overall, had a great time. I hung out and saw Dan from the Position 6 podcast.
Yeah.
Which now, I guess because he bought me a beer, I just gave him a plug and said the name of his show on our show.
That was cheap.
Yeah, that's cheap advertisement. I lost, I think. He's got a cider.
It's okay. We did it before for free, so.
That's true. He's incredibly tall. He's very tall. That's what I learned.
You had to guess.
And funny.
In America measurements.
6 foot 20 inches.
What?
Very tall. No, I don't know, like 6'5" maybe.
That's pretty tall.
Could play basketball.
That man's destined to be in Dota.
Yeah, basically. So thanks for the beer, Dan. You should. Show's great. I mean, I'm not on it. I guess I'm like caps on it, but that's fine. I mean, he's actually important. I'm not. Anywho, I'm gonna stop talking about that. I had a good time.
You had a good time?
I'm sorry that I just shared it for. Oh no, I looked at the runtime of the podcast.
Oh no, it's fine.
People are probably like, man, I'm really curious to hear about WePlay. And they didn't get any of that.
No. Let me just say something real quick. You want to know? So I did something recently.
What'd you do?
Let me open up my phone real quick. Mm-hmm. I went through and found, just out of a weird kind of curiosity, like every single Dota podcast out there. Mm-hmm. And I subscribed to all of them.
Oh, wow.
I even subscribed to a League of Legends, The Dive, just because I wanted to see what they do there. The Glimpse, showed up to them. The Offlane Podcast.
They still
We Like Dota. New Meta. Four Spirits. We Say Things, of course, with Sunsfan and Syndrin. There's Defense of the Patients, but that one's no longer going on. And
Third Spirit. There's probably more that we're not.
And
yeah, Alchemy one.
If any of those, Dota Alchemy, yeah. So if any of those names,
hold on, I'm sorry, you can't forget Anecdotes.
Anecdotes, of course, with Colin Sheever. If any of you guys are listening and you're excited because I listed your podcast. I learned something, Joey, by going through and listening to these podcasts.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
I'm going to feel a little bit bad saying this, but let me just say, it reaffirms something about this podcast.
What's that?
Talking about Dota is boring. It's so boring.
It's your job.
Maybe I'm just like not the person for it. Like obviously I'm not the person for it. Again, I said I wouldn't go to a Dota tournament unless I was working it. Like I would rather just be at home playing Dota. But it's so boring. It's so boring to talk about Dota. So don't feel bad about talking about your vacation because I'm much more interested in that than talking about Dota. I just am. Actually, to take that back, I do get excited talking about Dota, but listening to other people talk about Dota is so boring. I don't know how anybody does it. And that leads me to you guys, the viewers. Please give me some feedback on this. Because we did just talk for 45 minutes about Joey's vacation. I thought it was interesting. Let me know how much you guys enjoy hearing about Dota versus the normal stuff. Because for my money, man, I just can't. Let's talk about the number changes on the patch. And I was playing in Pugna Centaur lane the other day. And boy, did my Necrophos feet boom, boom, blow my brains out. I just couldn't listen to it. Every single podcast, I was like, listen to like 5 minutes. I'm like, nope, can't listen to that.
It's hard for me to listen to a lot of straight Dota podcasts. And that's why I think Sunfen and Synderen are a little less serious.
Yeah, because they're natural entertainers. Yeah,
I think Dan, the Position 6 podcast, do like it's more of like an interview, which is like a different type of Dota podcast, which is different and fine.
He has some interesting people on. That makes it really good.
You
get to know about them.
There's Trent and Ziori.
Of course, Trent and Ziori.
That do a podcast.
That we're now tied with them.
That is now
they're our brother podcast, our sister podcast.
Show.
Our sister show.
We're under the same umbrella. They rebranded. The new podcast is called Shared Tangos.
They did give us, on one of their episodes, I think they gave us a shout out.
They did.
Not on the other episodes, though.
It was the first.
I listened.
It was the first one. I listened because I heard that Sayori said my name, and I'm very like conceited, so I had to be like, "What do you say about me?" Because I'm like, I know that we've interacted like 3 times.
Yeah.
So like, what's the takeaway from
what did he say about?
It's probably a lie. He said the word funny, which it feels like it's like the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's still a fruit.
It's still a fruit. I got a fruit. I'm very happy about that fruit, and I can't be nagging them too much because really like we're helping each other now.
No, I mean, all those podcasts that we listed are good in their own way because there's like
different markets, different strokes.
Yeah,
there's enough Dota people who like Dota who there's like someone might want to listen to the Purge patch video for 4 hours because they care about that. Some people might want to listen to Sunshine and Sidra and be silly. Some people might want to hear Trent talk about Bulldog more or whatever. There's an ass for every seat.
Yeah.
And
that person just isn't me when it comes to like every single time the conversation goes too much into Dota, I'm just like can't listen.
Yeah, I think I would have more time for pleasure podcasts if I didn't spend so much time listening to like news politics podcasts. So I'm really hoping that hoping is a big word, that eventually in a couple of years I won't have to be as invested in American politics. I can like take a back seat a little bit more, and then I can have more time for leisure podcasts.
Yeah,
because we don't provide any important information.
No,
but that's fine. That's why you like us. That's our charm. We have voices that inflect up and down and keep your ride to work on the tube fresh. I like having like Dotas as references and like the smallest nugget of Dota as like an anchor point.
Well, we'll definitely get to Dota. Can I ask you one quick thing though? Just because this has been kind of bothering me a little bit, but you said the Kobe death affected you quite a lot.
Okay, yeah.
Can you just share that real quick? I was just curious.
I feel like this is a trap.
No, not at all. Like I mean, I listened to a Suns fan talk about Kobe's death. He said it was quite impactful. I've just seen a lot of people talk about how impactful it was for them.
So, I guess it's a little bit different I think Kobe affected a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. Some just by being like a sports icon, and like a leader and a role model because of his like true iron will that he seemed to possess. And then some people respect him as a basketball player because, there was always in a pre-LeBron world, it was always like, oh, is it Kobe or Michael? And now it's like, LeBron or Michael or maybe Kobe. Like he's always in that conversation as like one of the bona fide top 5 basketball players. So it's hard to just like not respect that. Then there's the whole tragedy of his death. If you don't know, Kobe was with his daughter and 7 other people on a helicopter because in Los Angeles, when you're as rich as Kobe Bryant is and you don't want to drive 2 hours in traffic, you take a helicopter, which is wild. Yeah. Something that he's done thousands of times. He used to take helicopters from his house in Orange County to the Staples Center for games.
Yep.
Same helicopter, same pilot. They just had an accident. They just had an accident, and the helicopter flew into a mountain.
Yeah.
The details of that aren't like super clear or confirmed. My understanding currently, or like the leading working theory, is that the pilot just got confused because he had to switch between navigating by his eyes to navigating by instruments because he was stuck in a bunch of fog, and then he thought he was getting out of somewhere, and then he wasn't getting out of somewhere, and then
which he shouldn't have been flying in the first place, kind of deal, right? Like
yeah,
flying in that fog was probably not.
I think it was, they on a normal day that flight probably should have been canceled, but for whatever reason it wasn't canceled. Whether it being like, oh, this is fine, I'm so experienced, or oh, this is okay because I don't want to let the client down. Or
that's the part that's really sad is that it's like it feels like it should have been avoided. It's like it felt like it should have been so easily. It wasn't like a freak accident sort of deal where I at least from my perspective, it would have been like, oh, I mean, that's just really shitty, but you can't prevent freak accidents. It's like one of those things like, we could have gotten around that,
Yeah, I think the answer was not flying that day, which is ultimately a thing that's like a crazy, what if, go back in time thing. For me, though, I have always been a big Lakers fan because I was always a basketball player. It was always like I care way more about the NBA than like the NFL or the NHL or soccer, football. So Kobe was just Los Angeles in the time where I was growing up. He was there for like 20 years. He was playing for the Lakers for the majority of my life and like my adult human memory. It's just like, wow, this is like someone who's like, I did book reports on him in school, or like I have a Kobe jersey and stuff like that. So it's just someone who was so prolific and there and like a complicated role model that it's just like, wow. And that's not just like my story. That's so many people in Los Angeles' story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was everywhere I look, man. The buses, I just saw a bus this last night when I was driving over, still said R.I.P. Kobe.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
It's absolutely prolific because, Los Angeles for a large swath of time didn't have a football team. We had 2 basketball teams. One of them was a joke and still arguably is a joke. And it's just, the Lakers were so much of LA in the late 90s, early 2000s. And Kobe was such a big part of that too. So that the city, he was a lot of sports players come and go and move to different teams, but Kobe was always a Laker. He was always here. He like gave back to the community. He was so prolific in LA that it was just a shock to me, but also just like a real it hit our community pretty hard.
Okay. I just wanted to like kind of hear your perspective because I've heard a couple different people's perspective on it so far.
You hear the perspective of like, yeah, fuck him. He like, he is either like,
the journalists that came out with their stories as soon as he died, like, hey, reminder that there was once the rape accusations about him and stuff like that. It's like,
that's and like even that like that's so complicated for me as someone who is like actively tries to be pro social justice and tries to be woke, whatever you want to call that or not call that, to be like, well, this is a person who you've always respected, who did have a rape allegation, who did admit to having sex with a teenager who was not his wife. He was never charged with it because it never actually went to trial because of a bunch of reasons on her side. So we don't really know if it was rape, but we're supposed to believe women. And she said that.
You're all supposed to believe it.
She didn't say that. So it's like an incredibly complicated and convoluted story. I think if it was more cut and dry, I could like divorce myself from it and him and be like, well, that's a bad person. Like, I don't like listening to Michael Jackson music because like he molested children. Like, but it's like weird and incomplete, and it makes the whole situation that much more murky, right? Because he wasn't perfect.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that always bothers me about this stuff is that like nobody is perfect, but like it was so clear that the timing was very Vulture-like, right? That narrative, like that happened a while ago, It's not like those same publications were pushing this 1 year ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you got to be woke about this stuff, but they weren't being woke about it a year ago or 2 weeks ago. They were being woke about it the minute he died, which is pretty gross.
Yeah, it's gross and it's complicated, and I still feel like not 100% about it. But, that happened. And the time that you don't want to get that news is in the middle of a movie theater when you can't understand the language spoken or written that you're watching. It's just really a weird flood of emotions.
So part of the reason I asked this, you said, was this a bit of a trap? It wasn't a trap, but like I know a lot of people who feel these ways about like certain so Robin Williams was like another big one. Like that hit a lot of people that I knew very hard. And I've thought about it both with Robin Williams, with Kobe, with like a couple different like big name deaths. And I don't think there's like anybody that I would really feel sad about. And I just don't know like what's wrong with me in that regard. But like, I don't really have any, but like I've really thought about it. Like the music I listen to, authors, anything like that. And like I don't know what's wrong with me, but every single time I think about like that person's dying, I'm like, well, I still have their music. Like I still have their books or something. Like, yeah, the general idea of somebody dying and like somebody like who has friends and family and like their loss and that sort of thing. Yeah, like that's sad in a general sense, but like nothing really strikes me personally when it comes to, I think, anybody. I don't know what it is. Maybe I just don't have like any like people that I really look up to.
I think
in that regard, or I don't know what it is.
I think that part of it is people that you look up to in like a role model-y sense. And I think part of it also is people from your youth who you feel were like important or formative. I think that's kind of the key combination for like really feeling sad about those deaths. Like I was sad when David Bowie died.
Oh, that was another one, yeah.
I think I've only really been sad when two people have died. There was David Bowie, which is like a melancholy, like, well, that really sucks. Like, I mean, I like his music. I think he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, complicated sexual history. Don't need to go there. Oof. I really just walked myself back into a hole with that one. And Kobe hit me harder than Bowie because of just like the relationship that I feel like I had mentally with him as a young adult.
Okay.
And I think if you were to ask me to do like that search, if there was anyone who would like really bother me if they died, it would be two people who would come up, and one of them is Kobe.
Oh, okay.
And the second one is Howard Stern.
Okay. So the basically part of the reason I asked is it's like it's one of those things that I don't know, like I can't. So I need to be able, because I know I'm in the minority in this. I know that like, and I've seen other people. So I'm just like, it's one of those things where I don't know it. So I need to like get other people's perspective to like gain some sort of understanding. Because it kind of bothers me that I don't really identify with this. That like most people do. And I'm just like, there's
Dude, why do you have like no empathy or feelings, man?
Maybe I'm just a sociopath.
Yeah, definitely not a sociopath.
So I was curious. I needed to hear what this was like.
I had a similar experience of like trying to find information from someone because I realized that I just processed something differently than most people. When you read, do you hear the words in your head?
Yes.
I recently learned that not everyone does that.
Yeah, those people are psychopaths. No, I definitely hear the words in my head. It's a large part of the reason why I'm okay at commentating is that I read a lot and I have a narrative voice in my head. Blitz, for example, does not because he speed reads. So if you speed read, obviously you can't have a narrator in your head.
Yeah, because you can't read the words super fast and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, like you're literally just consuming information as fast as possible. So it's not like you can't live that story in your head.
Yeah, I always thought that I was like a slow reader, which is true.
Yeah,
I'm like a little dyslexic, which doesn't help with that. I guess being modest. I'm dyslexic. It doesn't help with the slow reading. But I only recently learned that like a lot of people, most people just don't have a narrator when they read.
Is it most people?
Yeah.
Oh, I figured it would be the opposite.
No,
I figured most people did have a narrator in their head.
No, most people just like read words, and then some people have like that kind of self-vocalization narrator in their head.
You guys don't have a little man that lives in your head that tells you the stories?
Yeah, I hear
what?
When I read something, I hear everything.
Yeah.
It's wild. Yeah, so turns out more people should talk about these like weird idiosyncratic, there we go, that's the word, things that they have, because then you never know. You live most of your life and you're like, wait a second, you don't hear the words when you read? Or wait a second, you get sad when people die?
What do you mean you get sad when people die? Less resources are being taken, Joey. It's better for us who are still alive.
I thought you fucking loved Earth and the planet. My God.
You know that body's going to decompose and feed future generations.
God, I don't even know. I don't even know how we get back from that. I'm also worried. I'm realizing how squeaky my chair is.
Dude, it's my chair.
Is it your chair?
I'm trying to be still. Yes.
Oh fuck.
It's my chair. It was. I hope you have some WD-40 or something.
Okay, I'm gonna make you sit on another chair for the next episode.
Yeah.
And I really hope that I either don't have to edit the fuck out of this, or that people don't.
I mean, it was that way before, so I don't think it
I think it's gotten worse.
It might have. I'm trying to be still. I swear to God. If anybody's getting annoyed at this, it's me, and I'm trying to be still. But I'm a fiddler, so
I don't know how we go back and circle back around. Because like I wanted to very lightly talk about like even the minor, but if we push that to the next show, then it's going to be so long after the fact.
How about this? So I cover the minor, and then we can leave the major and patch. And whatever the hell else, all that Dota stuff for the next
for next week.
Yeah. So I left for the minor. We play in Bukovel, which is a ski resort in the Ukraine. Which was.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. We play through an event at a ski resort in Ukraine during Christmas. Like Russian Christmas is different. Russian Christmas and
that's why the whole event was like Christmas Eve. Christmas is in like early
exactly.
January or something.
So they did that during Christmas,
which would be a holiday time. So the idea of renting out a ski resort would probably be very expensive.
Yes,
I shouldn't. Money?
As far as I understand, there was some things booked at the venue, and they just that were supposed to be happening, and they just bought it out. And if you saw the production was sick, and they apparently have some great offices, and they have a lot of people working there who all love esports. They did that whole AR packaging thing, which was really cool looking.
So glad that they can do that. Watching it. So production talk. They really upped the camera game.
Oh yeah.
BTS needs to just spend the money to get better cameras because the lighting, whatever, like everything they did, I think was better than almost every other event, production wise, visual wise. But the crispness of, I think they were using Black Magic Ursas, is so much better than every other Dota stream I've seen. Like I could see which hairs in your beard were gray, and I can like count pores on Rich's face. Like everything felt so crisp, and I'm like, why is like Starladder shooting on a webcam, and WePlay has this camera? It looks so nice.
Yeah.
Anywho,
sick ass production. So yeah, it's in Bukovel.
Expensive
on a ski resort. Expensive, and that's all we'll say about that.
Sniff, Don Corleone or Scarface.
But yeah, so let me just say, I loved WePlay. And there was a lot of things that were. There was a lot of things about WePlay that commentators and like talent and players would normally not like. So let me give you a few things. First of all, it's in Bukovel. So you have to fly into, I don't even remember where I flew into, honestly. But I had to go from LAX to Newark to...
That's why you've been to New York.
I think Charles de Gaulle to like, it's not Bukovel, but some airport that's 4 hours away from Bukovel.
Oh, this isn't wait a second.
Yeah.
Bukovel's Bukovel's not even like Atlanta or San Diego or San Jose or Newark. This is like name a random city in Oregon.
Yes. It's way out there in the booty. So we fly to this like very small airport.
So far from Kiev.
Yes, it's very far away. Bukovel is in this nice little spot of the far western part of Ukraine, where you've got Romania and
Hungary.
Other countries,
Slovakia,
Hungary, Slovakia, and Poland that are all like in that area. So I think that's kind of why it's growing bigger and bigger as a ski resort. But just to start off, right, I have to fly from LAX to Newark to Charles de Gaulle to Ukraine airport. I can't remember the name. And then take a shuttle that takes like 5 hours to get to Bukovel itself. Okay, that sucks, right? That's a long travel.
That's a lot of travel time.
The European talent were like, this was a full day trip, and I was like, how do you think it was for me?
Yeah, just flying over the Atlantic, you also lost like 12 hours to get here too.
Yeah,
so you did a full day plus like 12 hours of a fake day because of time traveling.
That sucks. And then we get to our hotel. Our hotel was different than the player hotel, and our hotel was just kind of okay, but it wasn't particularly nice. It was probably one of the lesser hotels that I have had in esports. I don't have any major horror stories about hotels that I've stayed in, but this was probably in like the top 10 of like worst hotels that I've been in, stayed at. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it just wasn't a fantastic hotel. It was still being built. It actually just been built and stuff, and so there's a lot of stuff that was like missing. So that's not terribly enjoyable. But I loved the hell out of WePlay. you know what? That long ass trip that I took, well, it's in a ski resort. That's pretty cool. This hotel that I'm staying at, like, okay, I mean, they didn't have enough places to put us in the player hotel. That's fair enough. And you know what? It's at a ski resort. This is pretty cool. They actually initially said that we couldn't go skiing, which was something that the English talent was like, wait, what? You brought us to a ski resort and we're not allowed to go skiing?
We brought our jackets and gloves.
Yeah. But WePlay was very accommodating. You know, we just told them, like, look, we really want to go. And you know what WePlay did? They instead of they went from saying we couldn't go to then creating content and paying for it for us to go. Like, they paid for, I think they paid for our tickets. I'm not totally sure.
If they closed the ski resort, does that mean that also no one was?
No. They didn't close the ski resort. Like, this is a big ski resort. Okay. There was plenty of stuff, but just a venue they took over, sort of deal. But yeah, so we went from not going to them actually creating content based on us going. Right?
Okay, that's dope.
This is just cool stuff. And this is, in general, going to be a story about why WePlay is awesome and other events aren't, even though they can do, like, WePlay as an event, like, these little things, they kind of sucked. But all around, we all loved going to WePlay because we had staff that was just happy to be there, that was happy to be working the event, that was happy to be, like, working on Dota. They're all very passionate. We could feel that. We created a bunch of content. A lot of times, it's not fun to create content. You know, it's just like the whole singing thing. If you heard it, did you hear the singing thing we did? We sounded terrible. We all knew it would sound terrible. The songs that they gave us were like,
if they would have,
we had to, like, kind of rewrite half of them. They sometimes weren't, like, correct, and, like, there was, like, too many words for like a line or something like that. Yeah, there's a lot of little things like that. We knew we'd look stupid. We knew we'd sound bad and stuff like that. But we still had a blast doing that because, you know what? They cared about doing the event, and they thought this would be a fun content piece, and we were happy to be working the event. We thought it was a really cool idea that they were putting the extra effort to do these sorts of things. So we would also put in the extra effort and try and make it a good piece of content. And I actually think it turned out pretty okay, even if singing was awful.
You should have pitched some Creed songs.
We really should have.
Everyone could.
We really should have. Little things like, oh God, it's dreadfully hot in the casting area, and it was kind of cold in the panel area. You know, that kind of sucked, but it was just the way it was. No big deal. Like, all these little things, right? None of that bothered us. Because at the end of the day, we all understood what the bigger picture was, which was a lot of people who were just, let's not forget about the delays. We had to, like, buy tons and tons of time oftentimes because there was a bunch of delays. We had extremely long days, right? We went until, like, there was one day that went to, like, 2 a.m. or something like that.
I haven't seen
3 a.m.?
I haven't seen long days like that in a long time.
Yeah.
Because also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole event was like a day shorter than normal, so you were doing like an extra series.
We did 5 best of 3s in a day. That's unheard of. Nobody does that in esports.
That's like 2011 esports.
That's insane. Nobody does that. And yet it was still one of the best events I've ever worked. I had so much fun. I loved WePlay. I am hopefully, I'm in talks with them and going to the Mad Moon, their next event. Not a DPC event, but, you know, I enjoyed it enough that I wanted to be able to work it. So
you should ask them if they need writers.
So all of this in mind, right? Next week on the podcast, we'll talk about a different tournament where these sort of issues, these sort of things, maybe they are there, but it's just different. A lot of things can be forgiven if there's just the right people there, the right attitude, the right, like, at the end of the day, we all understood that WePlay, they just wanted it to be a great event, and they worked hard to do so. We put in 18-hour days, so did the production guys. It felt like a team effort, and, you know, at the end of the day, it was a tournament that stood out, you know? Like, that's also very gratifying, is that a lot of people, like, you know that what you did on the show made a difference. What they did on the show set you up for success, and it's a nice feedback loop of feeling good, man, between each other and just being like, we're both coming up with ideas. We're both working together. We're trying to make the best show together that we can. And it works and it makes a good show and people loved it. Fucking awesome, man.
For me, it doesn't always feel like talent or having fun at events.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes it's like, oh, like they're doing their job or they're just being professional.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a critique that you don't have. That feels like a bad critique because I don't like watch a Super Bowl and be like, wow, I don't think they're having fun commentating, right? Like, it feels unfair, and that's probably because of the relationship we've built with like Twitch or esports or just these people that we have more of a personal relationship with because of streaming. But WePlay, and especially if you're like looking at Twitter from people who were like at WePlay, you can see that they were enjoying themselves.
Yeah, which
really helps from like from a product standpoint, from a production standpoint, from like people having, you know, spreading good words about your event standpoint.
Yeah,
like there's a lot to be said for just having fun, and that doesn't always mean that it's going to be the best thing ever, but a lot of times just having fun helps.
Yeah, I agree. I think really like WePlay. I hope they get a major next season. We'll talk about that next week as well. The whatever changes are going to be happen, but I do hope they get some sort of DPC event because they've got a lot of money, but they do also have a lot of staff there that very passionate about esports, love working it, trying to make a great product, and you know, I'm always happy to work with people like that.
Well, it's a good deep tease for people to be like, oh man, no, go wait a week, but like, we got you. Yeah, you're on the hook. You're like a fish, and I just got you through the cheek, and I'm gonna reel you up, and then I don't know. Fishing's weird. Don't eat worms. Anywho. I'm sorry, my brain broke. It's been too long. Next week we'll do that. Right now, I'll just say thank you for being here, and thank you for listening. And like we did touch on earlier, also please go listen to, if you haven't, Trent and Ziori, Shared Tangos.
Shared Tango.
They have a brand new podcast feed. So if you're like, where's the Trent and Ziori podcast? Or I haven't heard them in a while, or like, I don't know if I was going to like them. Maybe Trent looks funny or something. I don't know. It's a podcast. You don't care what anyone looks like, right? You're listening to me. I don't look great. It's fine. Self-flatulating humor. Really funny. You should go check out Shared Tangos. Follow their feed. They're a sister show. We're like best friends now. And also, if you're going to be on your podcast app anyway, just leave us a review on iTunes because it helps, and we'll read some next week because I'll remember to pull them then, because I just got back from a trip and I'm going to pretend like I was busy and jet lagged.
Also, congratulate Trent on his new baby, Grant.
Oh, that happened?
McKenzie. I don't remember his full name, but his name is Grant.
He's got 2 boys.
Yeah, he's got 2 boys. So we'll go congratulate him. Yay.
That's so cute. Congratulate Trent. Or you can congratulate Trent in the comment section of any of our videos. And then if
we'll pass that along
and then we'll pass it along to him. So I just want the comments and the reviews, but if you leave one, I'll make sure to directly share it with him, and then you'll know that he'll see it.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll know that he'll see it. So congratulate Trent to his face, but also
and because it's happy news, be sure to rate it 5 stars. That comment on this podcast is 5 stars because new baby boy is super awesome. So
we got there. If you're listening, you can watch us on YouTube. Type in Side Poll. If you're on YouTube and you want to listen to us on your podcast app, whichever one you want to use, type in Side Poll there. You can find us. We're back. Sorry again for the 2 weeks. If you were like, where were they? Not dead, because I made it through the airplanes and Cap skied without killing himself. Did you ski?
Oh, yeah. I hurt myself really badly.
Is that for next?
Yeah, no, I just bruised I landed on the same spot twice, and I bruised myself so badly. And the second time I landed it, I hurt so badly that Shiver turned around and asked me if I was okay, and I couldn't respond to her because I was trying to hold down the puke. I was in so much pain, I almost puked. It hurts so much.
I see now. I think, and I don't want to blow too much smoke up your ass, but I think you're generally cool.
Yeah.
So I just assume that means that you snowboard.
Yes, I snowboard.
Okay. Yeah. See, exactly.
Yeah.
An acceptable second option is using short skis. Also really cool. But if you're just skiing, that's lame. You should, be more modern. Lame. Did you snowboard a lot?
I had snowboarded for the last. My dad took me ever since I was like 10.
Okay, so you didn't have like I was just like learning stuff. No.
I was a little bit rusty, and I landed on ice, and I was also very unlucky in that I landed on the exact same spot, very hard, 2 different times. Also, the lifts there are not snowboard friendly. Snowboarders will know exactly what I mean, like getting off the lift, right? If you don't have your foot in the boot, I'm rusty, so like the very first thing I do, it's like a, decent, you're going to get some speed. It's not a gentle get off the lift sort of deal. And I biffed it, and I biffed it again later. And
I haven't been snowboarding in like 3 years, and it kills me. I really like doing it, but like Big Bear kind of sucks, and driving to Mammoth
does suck. You hear that, Charlie? Big Bear sucks.
Was Charlie a Big Bear person?
Okay.
Fuck you, Charlie.
All right.
Anywho,
close it out.
We said bye, so I'm gonna say bye again.
Goodbye.
Bye. See you next week. Okay.